Hello, world. This is Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, and I am Chris Aballo. Welcome to the show. Thank you for subscribing to the show wherever you get your podcasts and stream your music. Thank you for following the show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Cape Pod. And joining me this week for another hour of hilarity, although honestly it's probably a very ill-prepared hour. Nevertheless, joining me once again, Ryan Taggart, who is running a deli counter during this episode, apparently, because we got a bell.
This is going to be a problem with this thing here, I'm telling you.
I mean, only for the people listening.
It won't be the last time they hear this.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody's just like, my phone keeps going off in the middle of the show. No, yeah. That's what it is. This show is now a deli counter, just for this week.
That's
What
fault.
we're doing. Next. It's not my fault. It's not my studio. If it was, maybe there'd probably be a bell, just because.
Yeah, there'd be a bell.
But we're introducing it this week. And you know who else is here? Jack DeFranco, everybody.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Jack. Jack's cracking open a
Sup?
crisp, refreshing can of liquid death and drinking it in a very inappropriate shirt, which I guess we have to start there, Jack. What's going on with your shirt? Because it's a Dungeons & Dragons Hellfire Club.
Wrestling shirt? Shit.
Yeah, it's not a wrestling shirt.
Yeah. Damn it.
Like, I'm wearing a band shirt. Ryan's wearing a beer shirt. You're not wearing a wrestling or Star Wars shirt.
Yeah, it's from Stranger Things. It's from the new season. So, Corey, for tonight, I'm more D&D than you. Fuck you.
Wait, so Hellfire Club is like a Dungeons & Dragons
D&D club on the show.
Is it?
With the nerdy kids.
Gotcha.
First episode of the new season.
Well, no, obviously. I mean, it's only not nerdy now.
Yeah.
But
Of course.
it totally was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Whenever the show. What year? What?
It's still pretty nerdy.
It is. But when you got
very
like,
nerdy.
it is. But
Now being a nerd is acceptable.
But have you seen like that Hollywood, like the actors D&D club thing?
Like Joe Manganiello and all those guys. Yeah.
I mean, you got him in
D&D
it.
club.
You know, Mr. Sofia Vergara. It can't be that nerdy. Because now a bunch of dudes are rethinking, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I could be a nerd.
Right? I could be all
And
wrong.
hit that.
Well, I mean, I feel like nerd is kind of, as an idea, just doesn't exist in the same way. Because you can't, I mean, Star Wars is as fucking mainstream as it gets.
Yeah.
Same with Marvel. So you can't exactly be like, oh, that stuff's just for nerds. It's not.
Yeah.
know.
Nerd is chic now.
Totally. Well, that's
Now
like,
sports is for nerds because now they're all like stats and this and that. So that's what sports is now.
right. Well, I've said that forever, that sports, they have talk radio and ESPN and loads of channels. Nerds have YouTube.
Yes.
That's it. So it's just to what degree?
Another
It's just
podcast about all this stuff. So yes,
totally.
it's all connected.
That's not an insult anymore. So, I mean, people can be nerdy about whatever they want. That's the thing nowadays.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
It's
feel
not
like
just
nerd.
Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's not
Everyone's
a day.
got a subject that they're a nerd about.
Like, I think Revenge of the Nerds, like the anniversary of the first movie, was just a couple of days ago. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of doesn't exist
Yeah.
No.
in that way anymore. I mean, I remember having this discussion. We may have talked about this years ago. Because when was this job? 2014. Yeah. And I was talking with a coworker of mine, and there was a kid who was a couple of years younger than us. He was about my age. So we were both 24, so 32-ish. And this kid was like 25 something. He was a couple of years younger than us. And we were talking about the Breakfast Club. And he was saying, I don't know if those stereotypes exist anymore. Like, we had them growing up, in the 80s and into the 90s. But he's like, I don't know if him in high school, like if he had those same kind of stereotypes. And I thought, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure there was a version of goth and jock and, rebel or, whatever you want to consider Bender to be. But I don't know that those kind of exist anymore. I mean, especially not now. 8 years ago, no. Now, I don't think that exists whatsoever. So when you say a term like nerd, I really don't think it carries. It's not an insult.
Blends into the same look. So
Doesn't
that's
mean
what
like
it
you're
is.
an egghead who gets shoved into lockers, that kind of.
Yeah, I don't think that really exists.
Really
in
good
the way
at
that-
math.
No.
Yeah. Yo, what a jab.
Yeah.
Now, you know math.
You know numbers.
You're on the honor roll. Nerd.
It's good you know those numbers because when you're an adult, you kind of need to know that.
Yeah.
You don't realize it.
helps.
How foundational math anyway. Never mind
Right.
calculus and algebra 2 and all that shit that
Yeah, that
I
shit's
took and never
useless.
used.
Yeah.
But like foundational math of just like addition, multiplication, subtraction,
A
division.
plus B
Yes.
minus X equals what?
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I need this for?
Yeah, I never need to do an equation that involves parentheses in adulthood. That's not a thing anymore.
Literally ever.
I don't know.
So anyway, we didn't come here to talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't come here to talk about this.
I don't think we did. Maybe.
No.
But we got, like I said, somewhat ill prepared. This night has been things have been thrown off.
It's been a shit show.
Yeah, we're starting later than expected. It's not my fault. And but no, it's totally not. See, again, you want to act like, oh, Chris fucked us again, and that's why we're starting the show like 2 hours after we're supposed to. It wasn't me. I won't say who it was. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna call out the person whose fault this is, but it's not mine. It's not anybody on camera.
We don't
Put it
point
that way.
fingers here at Cape.
Definitely not mine.
No, it's definitely not Jack's. Jack didn't even know how to get here.
Yeah.
And he still made it here like an hour early. So bully to him. But anyway, we got a bunch of stuff we want to catch up on with each other and with you because you all want to hear. You want to know what's up with everybody. So I'm going to start just because it was a fun experience. I don't have a lot of positive interactions with people. So I figure I need to put this out there. Yeah, I know. Imagine that. Listen, I don't like people. People don't like me. The relationship is reciprocal, is what I'm saying. So I'm fine with it that way. By the way.
It makes sense.
Wow, my eyes. It's got to be because you're next to me. My eyes are really, really blue on camera. Do you notice that? It's got to be because of you, because we're next to each other. Yours look all right, but like mine are popping.
Oh, just all right?
Yeah, I mean, on camera, I'm looking at us side by side, and like my eyes are. I mean, open your eyes as wide as possible. Yeah, there's not much happening. Me though, I don't know what's going on.
You're like right
guy.
in the way.
What's the matter?
You're like right in the way of the light, so it's probably why.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You don't see my baby blues?
No, mine are like sparkling. It's sparkling like a crisp, refreshing can of liquid death.
Plug.
But anyway, that's right. Plug. Send us free shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was out at Wawa, as always, of course, picking up a sandwich. And my sandwich's order is ready. And I happen to be wearing this day a T-shirt with something on it. It wasn't a band T-shirt this day. It was the Terminator T-shirt. I don't know that I've worn it in the studio, so I don't know if anyone has the full whatever. This is the moment where I insert a photo of it so everyone can see me in the Terminator shirt. But it's for the first movie with Arnold just, holding up the gun. It says Schwarzenegger up top and the Terminator on the bottom. And it's just him in the shades with the gun. And
If this were a professional show, we'd have a picture of it. But.
we would. But I'm doubling as engineer, too, because circumstances.
Yeah.
So no one's able to pull up a photo. Sorry. But we have photos of our friend who's not here.
Google it,
because that's what we do. So Andrew's here in
Yep.
spirit and in facial expressions. Mm-hmm. So
With one life down.
yes, the happy one. Unsurprisingly, medicated Andrew has died, so he has the X over his face. So all that's left is Andrew that ran out of Zoloft. Those other two images. So anyway, the guy calls my number for my sandwich. I walk up and he was like, "Hey, nice shirt, man, classic." And I was like, "Thanks, dude. Have a good night." And I get a few steps away. He starts going back to his station. He turns around for a second and says, "Will you be back?" And I said, "I'll be back." I didn't do it in the Arnold voice just because I thought we're having a nice exchange, and I'm not gonna sully the moment by doing an Arnold impression. I knew a pretty good one.
We're out in public.
Yeah.
So.
Yours is
Yeah.
good.
But it was just to have that moment. It's like, that's nice. That was a shared moment. And I enjoyed it. So I had a positive experience with a stranger, which doesn't happen often.
No.
Because most of my experiences with people are
Pretty
terrible.
rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Oh, I know.
Like, and I love you, and you're like, oh, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's all I got. It's on you guys to fill the next 50 minutes.
All right. So.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Pressure's on. All right. Oh, do you want to go first? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You have
I'll go first.
You have a negative experience with a non-human.
Yes.
We got to get into. I don't know.
Yeah,
This is-
I got two stories, but I'll start with the really bad
Oh,
one.
okay.
The other one's just funny. So I'm walking around my neighborhood. I work from home. So
I follow you so far.
take a walk outside of my neighborhood, and
Is it the Russian neighbor again?
no, not the Russian neighbor. This is a non-human interaction. So I'm rounding the corner.
Don't you dare make a comment.
Yeah,
Insensitive
don't-
comment about the good people of Russia. We know the bad people, but there are good people.
Yeah,
So
I don't
say
know. I
Taggart.
mean, if you
No,
watch
they're
Stranger
human.
Things, the people of Russia are not so good that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm rounding the corner off of my street, and all of a sudden I hear this bird, and it lets out a fucking death shriek. And so much so that I had to turn around, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
You said it out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like out loud.
Pterodactyl.
I'm in the street here, like there are people outside, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Jurassic
And then all of a
World
sudden I
is
turn my
real.
head, and this bird makes a beeline at me out of the tree. An absolute beeline. And it's a small bird. And so it's
Okay.
like, and I see it come right out of the tree. And then as it gets
It
close,
wasn't a bat. It definitely was a
it
bird.
was not a bat. It was
Okay.
a bird. Yeah. And then as it gets close, it fucking swoops in and dive bombs at me. So I'm in the middle of the street in broad daylight.
So
and I'm like
literally an angry bird.
an angry bird. Yeah,
It's moving like an angry bird.
like the game, just
And
not
it's
cute.
pissed.
You know, and it's pissed. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I don't understand. Why is it swooping? So then,
Are you yelling at the bird as it's
I'm
heading toward you,
yelling.
or are
I'm,
you frozen?
I'm yelling at the bird, like with my hands over my head. I'm ducking. So I'm like, why the fuck is this thing swooping?
And you're
at
pretty
me?
low to the ground anyway. So
And
the
I'm
fact
low
that
to the
this
ground.
bird is willing to like scrape its belly on the street to get to you.
Yeah.
It must have been pretty pissed
Yeah.
at you.
So it makes this beeline, and then it's like, and like right over my head, swoops at me, and I'm like, you're fucking.
Were you wearing an exotic fruit hat or
No.
something? Like
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Why single you out?
So then it goes back up
bags?
into the same tree that it came out of, and then I hear this shriek again, and I'm like, "You're fucking joking!" Right
So it
now.
never made contact.
It never made contact
Okay.
the first time, and then it goes back up
fired
into
a
the
warning
tree.
shot.
It fired a warning shot. It shrieks again. It's like this is a little bird that should be going like cheep, 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 like tiny bird, but it's like "Rah!" Like that kind of
Like a pterodactyl?
like a pterodactyl. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it comes at me again, a second time, and I'm like walking backwards, like keeping my eye on the tree, waiting to see if this thing's going to come at me, and it does, and I see like. Like right in my line of vision, it's coming right for me. Swoops again.
Move out of there.
A second
The neighbors
time.
And the fucking the animals.
And I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do right now. Am I going to get my brains pecked out by this thing? I don't know what I did. I don't know how I wronged this bird.
Did you have a peck me sign on your back?
Did I have a
you
peck
reach
me
and check
sign?
just to
Yeah.
see if-
Like, so then it goes back, and then it goes
So
up onto a.
it misses again.
It misses again, then
Okay.
it goes onto a power line that's going across the street, and then
And gets
I'm
cooked by the
walking fully.
electricity.
So I see it, and I'm walking fully backwards at this point. There are cars passing by,
People are like-
and I'm trying to like not get hit by a car, and also keep my eye on this fucking bird. And then it shrieks a third
How far?
time.
Hang on. How far away from your house are you?
I am like down the street, like around one corner of my house. So
And
I'm
wait, so you went out to take a relaxing walk?
a relaxing walk, yeah, which is what I fully expected. The weather was gorgeous. I was like, this is going to be really nice.
Yeah. Irony.
You know.
You know, and so then it goes up onto the power line and shrieks again. And I'm walking backwards looking at this bird, and it's like off the power line. And I'm like, I don't fucking believe this. I don't fucking believe it. What am I going to do? This thing is just going to keep hunting me. And then it's like shrieking and shrieking. It goes back up onto the power line. And finally, I get far enough away that it leaves me alone. And I am just, for the rest of the day, I'm like, what the fuck just happened with this bird? What did I do? I don't know how I offended it. So days later, I'm rounding the same corner. And I'm like, am I in the fucking Twilight Zone?
Maybe.
It beelines out of the
Hitchcock
tree
movie.
again and swoops at me, dive bombs at the last second.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm going to have to change my route. And then it goes up onto the power line, shrieks again, comes at me a second time. And I guarantee it's the same fucking bird from the same fucking tree, just keeps attacking me.
You're in its territory, bro.
Yeah, so I guess so.
Apparently,
So what
it's you.
What I found out, I had a friend on Facebook who posted that she was getting attacked by a bird in her own backyard who was doing a very similar thing. So I guess had a nest nearby. And I found that these birds are, I guess, a little overprotective this year. And if they feel that their nest is being threatened, they will attack anything and anyone.
I wonder if birds, and I mean this completely seriously, I wonder if they got like super confident based on the pandemic because nothing's threatening them. Nobody's outside. I really wonder if that was like if that kind of reprogrammed birds.
I think,
And I mean, it's there's all of nature because
this has never happened to me in my life.
because
Never.
I've seen more deer out in neighborhoods like than ever before, and I'm thinking, I think they realize something changed.
Something changed. Yeah.
And I sincerely wonder like how much of a factor that was for birds, and maybe they're looking at you, which is crazy because you're not physically intimidating
no.
as much as like you're nowhere near
and
up to the branch or power line
is
level.
like 50 feet off the ground.
Right.
Like I can't get anywhere near it. If you have a nest up there, like I didn't do anything. Like, what the fuck?
I'm out having a relaxing walk.
So this friend posts like a very similar experience just happening in her own backyard.
Right.
Where she's getting swooped at and shrieked at by this bird. And then all these people are also commenting with very similar stories, all from this year.
Right.
So this is just a thing now where these birds are just like, fuck you, stay away from me.
Yeah. Get out of my street.
Never happened to me ever.
That's
until
wild.
Just a couple of weeks ago. And
Dude.
I'm like, Do I have to be afraid of birds now? Like when I go outside?
I mean, I would stay away from that block at minimum.
Yeah.
Like go for a walk on a nice day, which is not. We're in the middle of a heat wave, which I'm sure everybody is right now, no matter where you are in the world. Listening to this, you're probably experiencing the same heat wave as we are, where it's in the 90s all week, which, at first I was just like, all right, the 90s. That's back when a simpler time. No, the temperature is going to be in the 90s.
Yeah, not the decade.
Yeah, that's not what I was hoping for. I was really hoping, like, good, give me the wide pants and guys wearing alien T-shirts and the bleached hair and all that stuff. Like, I'm down.
Bring it all back.
Yeah, that's right. I'll take it. Compared to these days.
Bring it back.
Yes, give me my youth.
Yes, please.
Take me back to high school,
Yes.
which was not a fun time at all. But still, like, I will take that over adulthood now.
Back in 97 so bad, please.
Yeah. At least my body didn't hurt back then.
Yeah, we had the bravado of just like, we're immortal and invincible and everything's going to be great. Like, I could get out of bed and not sound like I'm stepping on walnuts. This was such a time. What a time in life. Had I but known. Anyway, wow. And you know what? I got to admit,
wild, man.
now, during quarantine, it was actually when it probably was Cape 124. Because Corey was on the show, so I think it's fresh in my mind.
It's like the one.
Because Corey just came on, yeah. So it was like 2 years ago in quarantine when I shared a story about a bird showing up in my house. And then it happened again a couple of weeks later. There's a different bird experience.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it only takes one for you to have a complex about, like, is it a fucking bird? Anytime I hear a noise in the house, because especially living alone, I'm like, is that a fucking bird? Like, is that a bird in the house? Like, I immediately, my brain goes to, like, it's a bird. Or I did have 2 instances. This has been addressed, and I didn't bring it up to you guys at all. There was an issue at the beginning of the year with mice, 2 mice. It has been taken care of. So I was like, yeah, Jack's sleeping on the floor in an air mattress. He doesn't want to wake up with like a mouse on his chest.
Where's
Sleeping in the couch.
Luna?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, Jack misses like having a cat. The one time he's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Why is there
She's
something
like a
to take?
guardian of the house because none of that, and like the house we live in right now is older.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a blessing to have the cat be like security because apparently mice can sense that from like far away, like, oh shit, there's a cat there or something like that. So
Okay, well, let's hope so because the
fuck
way your
those
cat,
mice.
the way your cat would just have a panic attack and actually wouldn't protect you at all. Because I've never seen a more angst-ridden cat or anxious cat rather than Luna.
yeah,
I maintain that.
she probably would just run away and jump in the drawer.
I stopped by when we all went
Yeah,
out.
I saw
we
her.
went to
She
the
was
boardwalk
like-
for the day, and she was and she knows me.
That doesn't
Like,
matter.
I know,
You don't
apparently
live
not.
with
But
her
like
every day.
I've been,
It's me and Noelle, and that's
Yeah.
it.
yeah, but how long did it take for that cat to get used to you? Be honest, because you two were obviously
We were at odds for the first 2 years.
Several years.
two
Yeah.
fucking years.
2 to 3 years, but
Yeah, so it's just not going to happen, man. Just
No, I don't care. Listen, same with people. I don't like cats. They don't like me. Fuck it. I'm okay with that.
I don't like
kind of
cats
likes
either.
Noelle's mom, and that's about it because she comes over and feeds.
For non-residents,
Yeah,
Yeah,
non-co-inhabitors, Noelle's mom is the one.
the only one.
yeah.
I don't know because
Kinda
I
likes
saw.
you, Ryan.
Really?
Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah, she
I don't-
kind of comes up and like just looks at you. But like my
I
brother,
don't
my two
get that
brother-in-laws, like my brother-in-law Alonzo, and my brother-in-law Adam, because they're taller than me, she freaks out. She seems-
Maybe that's what it is because I'm taller than you too.
but like you,
Yeah.
you're kind of
And-
mellow, and she just looks at you and just goes away.
Because you're tiny.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Tiny and mellow.
Yeah,
What am I going to do? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But we found the episode title. Welcome to Cape 208, Tiny and Mellow.
Tiny and mellow.
So
There it is.
it's either the episode title or the best morning show team you've never heard of. It's Tiny and Mellow in the morning.
Tiny and mellow on 97.7.
Oh, look at you. Step it up like a pro. So you've been at this long enough. Yeah, I bet you know you had that in you.
I didn't.
And look at you.
No, it just came out.
You immediately, I pitched it as a morning team and you just went right in for it.
I
You're
say
like,
a new
I know
career
this guy.
path for you, pal.
I mean, clearly you guys need to be Tiny and Mellow now.
Yeah.
We're making this a sketch.
All right.
Hey, we're coming at you from Red Bank, New Jersey. It's Tiny and Mellow on the morning show.
Now
I can do
it's
a stupid voice.
AC/DC.
Yeah. And now an AC/DC song you've heard 30 times already today. We're going to play it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's only 8:30 in the morning and you've already heard it once an hour. Yeah.
What's the longest one? I got to poop.
Wow.
Oh, this fucking song again.
Distinguishable. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Tiny over here is like, can you play a Dockin song? All right, I got to go to the
Oh,
bathroom
wait,
now.
I forgot to hit mute on that.
Oh, damn it. Oh,
Shit,
wait.
everybody knows
sorry.
Kate Dockin.
Listen, I'm just going to leave a blank check in the lobby made out to FCC. All right, and you guys fill it out. This is my problem. Fuck it. Oh, that's another fine.
Sorry.
Sorry, Jack needed a breath after that. It's like, this is overwhelming.
Oh, that was good.
I'm here under hot lights. It's so late. I got to be up in the morning to work remotely, but still I got to be up.
Yeah.
And these guys have overtaken me. Jack, you are suffering from ill health. Oh, you kind of just gotten over the hump.
Transition.
I don't do transitions.
Ill
okay?
health. Yeah.
It's not my thing.
That was really smooth.
No. This show does not have transitions. This show is erratic. And
Yes, I had my first ailment about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Your first ailment?
Your first ailment
My first real
ever in life?
Yeah, ever?
I mean, I scratched my cornea once and that was painful, but this is like a real.
So you never broken anything?
No,
You've never really
broken. I
Me
twisted
neither.
my ankle
Me
when I
neither.
was a kid once or twice, but like that didn't keep me off. No pun intended.
We're boring.
Off my feet for a long period of time.
Womp womp.
This did.
Which is there's a hint.
Yeah,
That's what we call a hint, everybody.
It came out of nowhere. So I have a story. It was Father's Day weekend. I believe it was that Friday night before Father's Day, and my wife and I, normal Friday night, take out, watch TV.
Watching wrestling, Star Wars, normal Friday night at Jack's place.
Stranger Things was on, so we were doing that. 2 episodes of that.
Don't roll your fucking eyes.
I
Don't
don't
do
like
that.
things that are popular. Anyway,
It has nothing to do with it being popular. It has
No,
to be
it-
good for me
it-
to like it.
it
But
does.
go on.
plenty good, pal.
Right.
Anyway, all of a sudden we're just hanging out, and my toe starts to hurt. My big toe on my right foot. It just starts to throb, and I think it's one of those. I just got to crack my toe. It'll be fine. I go to crack it. Doesn't want to crack. It doesn't have that like kind of joint feel. But anyway,
Ryan's already disgusted. He's
But
like,
it's just
ugh,
like,
this doesn't feel
this
good.
doesn't feel good. I'll sleep it off. Whatever. Saturday morning comes along. It starts to get a little bit worse. Now, to rewind a little bit, the Thursday night before we went out shopping, and because I have a cat, we had to buy kitty litter, and those things are heavy, the big boxes of them. So I remember that Thursday night, I was coming in the house because I was probably carrying seltzer in one hand and this in the other. I opened the door and just kind of like felt it fall out and kind of just slid it over. It's like, oh shit! I thought I hurt. I was like, well, whatever, it's fine. I didn't hurt myself. So I thought this was like 24 hours later, you tore a tendon in your by Saturday. I thought 48 hours later, I probably tore a tendon in my toe because this isn't feeling good. Like it just kind of kept getting worse and worse, but like I could manage it and walk on it. It just felt very uncomfortable.
You taking anything? Did you pop like some
I
Advil
took
or
some
something?
Tylenol.
Just to- okay.
Like for the
Did it do anything?
no.
Okay.
So we get to Sunday, Father's Day, and I go to my sister's house, and by this point it's starting to really hurt. And my wife drove us down the Toms River to my sister's house to have Father's Day with my family, and I get there and I'm limping around a little bit, starting to limp a little bit more once I got out of the car. And then we have Father's Day, everything's fine. But as the day goes on, I feel it starts to get really, really worse. So that Sunday night, I'm in excruciating pain with this toe. This isn't just a joint issue. I don't know what's going on. And we're trying to figure out today. I thought because of what I did that Thursday, I twisted something and there was a toe tendon I messed up or something I did was wrong. But it's at the point Sunday night at 11 o'clock, I'm in excruciating pain. I can't put a sheet on my foot. I can't put my foot on a pillow. And I'm trying
Oh, wow. It's hypersensitive.
I was putting ice on it, and it felt like daggers. I took my foot, and I just held it over like this. Like just over the floor, hovering it, and just shrieking pain. I was like, something's wrong here. So I barely slept that night. I slept for an hour from like midnight to 1 and was up till like 4:30 with ice on my foot, trying to fall asleep, but the pain was so intense and shrieking. It felt like I had needles and like I was being stabbed by like 100 needles with glass in my foot.
Oh, wow.
Excruciating.
Good Lord.
I don't know how I worked that day. I got up 20 minutes before my shift started, worked at home, and just kept my foot rested and tried to get through a day of work.
And that's tough anyway, because even though you're not on your feet for work, like I said, you are working
home,
remotely.
And I was like, I could work from home. It's fine. But I was at work. I'm like,
But that pain can be
here.
so distracting. That's the thing. It's not even like,
Doesn't
oh, well, at
matter
least
whether
I'm
you're
off my
home or not.
foot. Yeah, it's like I can't focus. Like, and that's the
It's
thing.
horrible.
Yeah.
So I get through the workday at 5:30. I told Noelle earlier in the day, like, I got to go to the doctor after work. No ifs, ands, or buts. I got to go. So she makes an appointment for me while I'm working with an urgent care over by here in Eatontown. There's a new urgent care that opened up because they have an X-ray machine. I'm like, I want an X-ray. I don't care. It's the worst pain
Right.
I've ever felt in my life. I need to find out what's going on here. So here's where, if this isn't fun enough, the The next couple things are going to
Buckle up, audience. Now it's really going to get interesting.
We first go to an urgent care that opened up to describe it in Eatontown, that used to be, you'll know where this is, where Borders was in Eatontown.
That's now an urgent care?
It's now an urgent care.
Huh.
We go there, and they're like, no, you're at the wrong urgent care. We don't have an X-ray machine, and the one who has an X-ray machine is across the street. It's a different health company. Like, this was under Hackensack Meridian, but this was like another branch of it. So we had to go across the street, right by where the supermarket is over there. We go there, and my wife called earlier to confirm they had an X-ray tech at 6 o'clock, and we get in. The guy's like, "Oh, they left at 4." So I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Wow.
We can try to fix this for you. We have another urgent care of ours right down the road in Ocean Township, which is about 10, 15 minutes away at most. I'll call. We'll tell them that you need to get an X-ray. You'll be all right. So we get in the car. I hobble back in the passenger seat. We go there. We go to the Ocean one, which isn't in the best area. We go in, and we're just waiting for. There's 2 people at the desk helping one person, and I don't know what they're doing. They're not checking them in. They're not asking questions. They're just kind of just like looking at the same computer screen trying to help this one person. And I'm right behind them, and they're like, "Can we help you?" I'm like, "Yes, the Eatontown office called. We need an X-ray for my foot." "Oh, they never called us, and we're not taking walk-ins anymore."
Oh, for God's
You're
sake.
a fucking urgent care.
Yeah, I've experienced that too.
I did
It's
too.
literally the entire
I'm
point
like, we
of
have
an
to call
urgent
them.
care.
Like, wait, they should have called you. No, we have to call them. I turned around, I looked at my wife and said, "Take me to Red Bank right now. I'm going to the hospital, and I need a fucking X-ray."
Yeah.
So we
At this
get-
point, yeah, I'm going to the
so it's
emergency.
another 20 minutes to Red Bank on a Monday night. I'm in excruciating pain. I can't put my foot down. I have a sandal that's killing my foot. Like, a little sandal feels like a boulder on my toe. So we get there, go to the emergency room, and they ask me what's going on. I get checked in. Within 10 minutes, they come up to me. And I'm like, "I'm having this pain." Like, "Do you ever hear of gout?" Like, "Yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. I thought it was like an ankle issue." Like, no. What it is you have a pain in your toe, what's called the rich man's disease.
Yeah,
Where
of
all
course,
the uric
Jack gets the
acid-
rich man's
Yeah.
disease.
The irony of
The
this.
jokes never stop.
All the uric acid, like it goes, from what I understand, it goes down into your body and it just centers on a joint. So it goes around your toe. So I had my toe was almost double in size at this point.
Ugh.
It was bad. So all this.
Did it have its own heartbeat, like in cartoons?
It might as well. It was bright red. It was bright red. And now, like, it's very uncomfortable because I have bad toenails too. So I'm out in public like this. I'm like, I feel like such a fucking. And I cut my foot open the other day. Prior, my left foot, I had like a really bad irritation, and I just scratched it so hard I had a cut. So I look like a hobo with like busted ass feet and a throbbing toe. I'm like, I am so fucking embarrassed. But the girl's like, "No, it's gout, like, because all that uric acid just centers around the joint and it just goes straight down, and that's it." And here's the things that could cause it: meat, aka red meat, beer, wine, seafood. Guess what Jack had on Father's Day that probably made this worse?
Surf and turf with red wine and beer.
I had salmon. My sister made a great meal. I had salmon, flank steak, a cheeseburger, and 3 beers.
That'll do it.
You checked all the boxes.
Yep.
All of them. Except
Congratulations.
Because wine's fucking disgusting. Yeah, I'm not a wine fan.
I mean, you're not much of a beer fan from what we've seen, but okay. You had 3 anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
Jack was like, I'm going to try to get converted
Summer ale.
tonight.
So you got the rich man's disease.
Rich man's disease. It was excruciating. So they put me on a steroid.
Oh, wait, how long were you at the emergency room for? This seems like...
Less than an hour.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
You lucky fuck.
That's
In
very,
and out.
very efficient.
In and out.
Okay, all right. Now I have a story I wasn't going to tell. Now I'm going to tell it because I fucking hate you.
The nurse there was very attentive. They told me, "Here, we're going to give you prednisone." I took a prednisone there. They gave me this foot bath thing for my feet, and they're just like, "Here, we'll help you. This will help kind of ease things because your feet are a little calloused, and But anyway, make a follow-up appointment with your doctor and everything else." So I take the prednisone. It starts to kind of wither away at the pain, but slowly but surely. It's like I only took it for a week because they don't want you on a steroid for a long time because
Yeah,
it really
of course.
fuck you up, brother.
You don't want your balls falling off.
But
Yeah. Shrinking
need
like
those.
raisins. Meanwhile, it's like my toe is back to normal size, but my head is now double its size.
Yeah.
So, yikes.
Yeah, so over the next couple of weeks, it started to feel slowly but surely better. And then we were going to Ocean City around July 10th. A couple days before, I had my follow-up appointment with a doctor who gave me some anti-inflammatories to get rid of the rest of the lingering pain because there was still lingering pain. And I told her I'm just taking Tylenol. She's like, don't take that. That's a pain reliever. That's not going to do anything. You need an anti-inflammatory. So I'm at this point, I still have, like, if I bend my toe one certain way, I can still feel pain in my joint. But
So stop bending it that way.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
so stop doing that.
Yeah, dumbass. What's wrong with you?
saying.
I'm no doctor, and I know
Stuff
that.
happens. I was at the beach this past weekend. And I got knocked over by a wave, and I felt it bend back. It's like, fuck, that hurt. Like this. But anyway, I'm about
The ocean is not our
there.
friend, Jack.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. That's where
But,
the sharks live.
Yes.
Yeah, sharks and yeah.
And then the food that'll give you gout, apparently.
Sharks
So
and
just stay the
waves.
fuck away from the ocean. That's the lesson.
Real Jaws, the revenge, the gout. But it was one of the most painful experiences of my life, and there is not a possibility, but gout happens kind of infrequently where it can happen again. It's one of those things you got to watch your diet, but it also just you take care of yourself. You got to just watch what you do. So like it's one of those.
So stay out of the ocean. Don't wear shoes.
Yeah, I couldn't wear shoes.
Don't eat seafood.
No shoes.
Continue not drinking
Shoes
wine.
were extremely painful. Extremely painful.
So basically, they said gout is like us. It never goes away. Is that what the
It
verdict
has the
is?
potential to come back. But yeah, it's one of those things like you can just do everything you can. But now I have a doctor. So they said like if I have a doctor for all my feet problems now. So they're like,
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Put it off for way
Do
too
you have a pedicurist now?
There's a doctor for
I
that.
sure as shit need one.
You should. Well, I mean, you're married. Listen, it's not terrible to be like, I'm look after
Take care.
myself.
I have no problem with that.
Hey, I'm just
I've
saying.
had a
It's one of those
pedicure
things I kept
before.
putting
It's
off, and
awesome.
putting off, and putting off to take care of all my other foot problems.
Yeah.
But this kind of just, in a way, was a weird. I don't want to say blessing because it was a nightmare. I never want to go through it again.
Yeah.
But it kind of opened my eyes. Like, all right, start taking care of this shit. You're not getting any younger.
So just give up all the delicious things in life,
No,
and then it
no,
won't
I
happen
still
again.
have those things.
Yeah, Jack.
More
It's
about-
asparagus for you. Asparagus and tap water.
Oh God, asparagus.
I can still eat that stuff, but it's just saying, like, just be careful.
Right.
And apparently, it is somewhat hereditary because my father said his.
Oh, no shit. The rich man's disease is hereditary in the DeFranco family. La-di-da.
I texted my dad, like, yeah, it was gout. He's like, oh, I gave you the right name then because your grandfather used to have that all the time. Not all the time. Like, all the time. Like, fuck, what do you mean all the time?
And you're
Well,
like, thanks,
define
Grandpa, you
all the
fucking
time.
asshole.
Like, what do you mean all the time? He's like, no, he had it like 3 times in his life, but he was in his 30s. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Guess what?
I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, I thought that was one of those things you're not supposed to get until you're like 70.
I thought like 50-something-year-olds get gout. I'm not even 37. I'm 2 days away from 37 at this point. We're recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea what gout was until
Yeah.
you had it.
I
Until you
heard-
explained
Oh, no?
it to me. Yeah.
Oh.
I had heard
I
of
heard of it
gout.
because someone at my old
but I never
job
bothered
had it,
to
and they
look
were like,
into it.
off their feet, and I'm like, oh, it must be an ankle. And I thought
Never
they
bothered.
when they told me it was like an ankle problem years ago. So that's all
Wow.
I thought. But yeah,
Not a
I
toe
had no
problem.
idea it was it's a joint problem. So it could be either toe. It's that uric acid just centers on the bottom. It just goes straight down and it just centers on a joint, and it can come out of nowhere. So
So it could have been any of the toes.
any of the toes, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
right
Well.
big toe. Hurt like a motherfucker. So, but now, if it happens again, the doctor's like, you can get medicine for it right away. We'll take care of it. So hopefully, if I ever, with the help of God, I never have it again, or like,
If Jack gets the slightest twinge in his foot at all, he's
yeah.
going straight to
Yeah.
that doctor.
Is this it?
Like, refill me.
Yeah.
Give me the meds.
yeah, give me the juice.
Give me the roids.
yeah.
See, I wasn't going to talk about this just because I kind of gave you guys a version of it anyway. I gave you the abridged version, which I realize is ridiculous coming from me because no story is brief. But you got a very minimal version of what happened because Jack was talking about his ailments when we were out at the boardwalk because he's like, I don't know how I'm going to do. And Jack really was walking like an old man, kind of
When
hobbling.
we first got to the boardwalk, I'm like, I'm dead.
He's like, I'm done already.
I'm
Yeah,
dead.
you kind of were.
I was like, well, we got 5 hours of this, so
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
on up.
Honestly, by the end of the day, I felt better because that was the
You were
most,
using it. Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
I haven't been able to do like really any physical walking for a while. Like, the week after I got things going with the medicine and everything else, I was trying to walk around on my because when I'm on the phone at home, I talk to someone, I walk around a little bit. So I kind of was walking around talking to my dad, and it felt like, I shouldn't have done that. That was a little too soon because that night I was a little not as bad as that Sunday night, but that Thursday or Friday I was like, okay, rest of the night. Give me that ice pack. Like, this was a mistake.
Sorry, Ryan and I were mugging it up for the camera. I was trying to take a picture while Jack was telling the story because I like to tease when we're at the studio. So if you're wondering why there was silence, they're like, why does this keep happening? The show keeps cutting out. These guys are too busy in love with themselves taking photos to pay attention and broadcast like people do. Sorry, once in a while we need a breath.
Yeah, we look cute, though.
We do, actually. That's why I want to take a picture. I'm like, look at us. We look all right. Well, it's funny, and the reason I hate you is because you had such an expeditious emergency room experience, because I wasn't going to talk about this just because there wasn't a lot of good to be found in it, but now I have to, because now I just want to climb on a soapbox based on my experience. So what happened the week before we went? It was actually, I spent 4th of July weekend with my parents just because I had nothing to do. And I'm saying there wasn't any plans, like nobody was having parties or anything like that. So I was like, well, I'll go see them. And it's nice to go down there without an agenda, because as I've talked about over the last 2 years on this show, like everything for a long time was I was doing the grocery shopping, kind of at the height of the pandemic. And then it was doctor's appointments or being tech support when they had doctor's appointments on Zoom and stuff like that. So it's nice to go down and kind of visit with them without any kind of agenda. I had nothing going on. I was able to just kind of spend the weekend with them, had no freelance work or anything like that to do. So I was like, what, this is going to be good and get this done. The show was in the can, so that was ready to go. So I was like, I can go down. And I have nothing on my plate. This will be fun. And I ended up coming back actually on July 3rd because that's where all the fireworks were on the shore. They were doing them Sunday night because Monday was the 4th. And I said, it's going to be a nightmare. It took me, we met up for dinner, which was great, on Thursday. So we all got together and met up. That was kind of the night I came down, and we closed the place. What were we there for, like 5 hours or something? 4 or 5 hours. It was great.
It that long?
It was basically, it was until the joint closed. It's probably 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock? I think it was like 11 o'clock when we left. I'm pretty sure they were closing. But it was a rare occasion where basically everybody was there, which doesn't happen too often, which we need to do more. Which was a good start to the weekend as well. The bad part was it literally took twice as long for me to get to the Toms River area.
I can vouch for that.
It was a nightmare. It normally takes an hour and 15 minutes, but I left Thursday because I was like, it's going to suck because people are going to take Friday off. 4th of July is on a Monday. It's going to be a 4-day weekend. I'll just come down on Thursday, and then there won't be so much traffic. Well, a bunch of people were thinking the same thing I did because it took 2.5 hours for me to get down there.
About a solid hour, I would want to say.
Yeah. And you live closer than me. That's the thing.
I'm halfway. I'm the halfway point.
You're kind of the midway point, between. So it's like 40, 45 minutes normally for you, maybe, but it was
a good day.
Yeah, it was horrendous, and I'm crawling the entire time. But thankfully, we all went. It was the three of us, and the only one who didn't make it was Andrew because he had something come up literally on the night, and he felt horrible about it. But it was great that it was us plus Corey and Christian showed up, which was great. Our friend Dan, who we don't see often enough. I mean, you guys kind of never see him. No. It's been years, actually, come to think of it. But I'd only seen him kind of recently because, with the pandemic and everything, we just hadn't seen each other, gotten together or anything. But it was great to have everybody come. Jimmy, we don't see Jimmy enough. That was cool. Right. So it was a big group of us, which overdue. So the weekend started great. And then my thought was, well, I'll come home on like Tuesday because, 4th of July and everyone will be heading home, blah, blah, blah. But when I found out there were fireworks on Sunday night, I said,
sneaking out.
That was it. Kind of based on the fact that it was such a nightmare to come down, I said, a bunch of people are probably staying, because if they have the weekend, they may be going back Monday. So I wasn't going to go anywhere near the fucking Parkway or Turnpike on Monday to pay to sit in traffic because toll roads in Jersey. But I said, well, I don't want to travel on Monday. But Tuesday, there'll probably be a shitload of people driving back too. Oh, my God. Because as we've talked about many times over the years on the shows, between folks from North Jersey, which, yes, now I'm one of them, but indigenous to Central/South Jersey, indigenous to the shore area. So I got that going for me.
I made the mistake the day after Memorial Day to go to my office on the Tuesday morning. And I was like, this is going to be the first time I'm late for work because I'm sitting in gridlock traffic at 8:15 in the morning.
And that's what I was thinking. Now, I have a good time with my parents. I genuinely enjoy spending time with my parents, mostly because I get to show them movies they haven't seen or some of our favorites. So, we have a good time. I do have a great relationship with my parents, and I don't mind staying at their place. There is a part of me that's like, I should have brought my computer. I could have got some more time, because I'm up later than they are. Even though, that's it. I was just like, I literally should pack up my desktop computer and bring it down if I'm going to be there for a couple of days. Let me get some work done. Which is stupid, and I know it's kind of stupid, but I said, let me just relax and just, again, it's nice to have no agenda, and I have no work, on my plate, so it'll be cool. But then when I found out after going out on Saturday and seeing, there's fireworks everywhere, or maybe it was Friday night, I forget, but one night, and I kept seeing 9 p.m., Sunday, July 3rd, fireworks all along the shore, and I was like, maybe I should head back Sunday, because if people are watching fireworks, there won't be that much traffic. Maybe that's the move. So I ended up going back Sunday.
And you're just like, fuck you all.
Yeah. Hey, I've seen fireworks. I don't need to see them. Okay, they're not that remarkable.
Age where I fucking hate fireworks on 4th of July. The idea of going to see fireworks is torture.
I just don't get it. I don't get
Everywhere
why.
you'd go, it's a nightmare.
It is.
So,
I
It is.
remember when I have a funny 4th of July story of when I was a kid.
That's fine. Then we'll get to me going to the emergency room.
All right.
Yeah.
So when I was 9, we obviously living on the shore. We wanted to go to Point Pleasant and see it. Me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. I remember the entire 2 hours trying to find parking to try to find it, and we just watched it from the cars who drove by. And my father was like, "This goddamn bullshit! I don't want to fucking do this," in front of us,
Dude.
This was the '90s, folks.
Yeah.
It was just like, "This goddamn bullshit! This is ridiculous! I don't want to for fucking fireworks."
I get it.
Yeah.
Dude, I get it. It's
Memories.
horrible. Ugh.
And ever since then, it's been like, yeah, why do we do this
Yeah,
on
no
4th of
thanks.
July? I'm 9 years old, and I don't understand this either.
Dude, it actually wasn't that bad driving back. I'm pleased to say. Like, it took a little longer. Some people must have been thinking the same thing as me, so it took like a half hour more than normal. But it was kind of in patches. It's always like when you get near the airport. I always run into traffic when I'm passing by the area of Newark Airport, or a couple of places heading north. But like, it took an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm like, I got home 2 days earlier than I expected to, so I was actually okay with it. But on that Tuesday, as it turns out, I was just feeling off. You know, you just kind of feel like something's not right. I don't know exactly what it is. I just don't feel like my head, something feels out of it. And I was kind of like,
That's me pretty much every day.
Is it? Okay.
I think nothing of it anymore.
Well, I guess you get used to it. For me, like as out there as I am, there's just moments where I'm like, I don't know, I feel kind of off. And I had a headache that was kind of intermittent. So it's starting on the left side of my face. It's kind of starting over here, and then it's moving to my forehead, and then the top of my head, and then the back of my head. It's like this floating headache. And I was like, I'll just take some Advil and kind of carry on. Wednesday, still intermittent headaches. I'm like, okay, this is annoying, but I'm just going to, same thing. I'm going to pop some ibuprofen, and hopefully it'll be okay. And I'm saying, well, it's starting to get hot. It's July. It's in the upper 80s, so I'm going to, I'm not eating enough, or I'm not drinking enough water. I'm kind of explaining it away as like, I'm not giving my body what it needs. I'm like sleeping, I haven't been sleeping as well or anything like that. So, and I live on the top floor as well, so it tends to be hotter anyway. So I'm running the air conditioner all day just because otherwise it's going to be really fucking hot. So I said, all right, I'm just going to not, I don't think this is a big deal, but my body's kind of trying to tell me something. So then Thursday, still happening, intermittent headaches. I'm like, okay, I haven't had a migraine since 2011. I've had a handful in my life. I got my first one when I was, I think, 16. And 2011, I was 30, 29, 30. So it's been a long time since I had one. But I thought, okay, maybe this is a migraine that's kind of hovering below the surface and just isn't willing to stick its head up above the water yet. That's all I was thinking. I'm like, okay,
let me out.
Right. Is this a migraine that's just being a little gun shy and isn't willing to full on like attack me? Because the first sign of migraine for me isn't headache. It's my vision getting wonky. But that wasn't happening. I was just feeling a little, like I said, kind of out of it. And maybe some moments of like being lightheaded. And that was it. But I'm like, I'm going to get some Excedrin because maybe maybe the ibuprofen's not doing it. Maybe let me offset the migraine with whatever. And I'm consuming a lot of caffeine, which I kind of do anyway, but I was doing that. Yeah, I know. But I did because I thought, well, if it's going to keep me a little more alert and make me feel less out of it, whatever. Like, I'm just trying to get through until whatever this is passes. I was still feeling it on Friday, and I finally got to the point where I said, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this for another day because I was just feeling like I know something's off. And I'm saying, it'll be all right. It'll pass. And then I thought, I don't want to go through this. And again, tonight, too, because I was having trouble winding down. Like, I hadn't been sleeping well anyway. But I said, because I feel out of it, like it's distracting. Like, I feel like I'm wound up and I'm not able to relax and go to sleep and everything. And I'm up late anyway, just by my nature. But I said, I don't want to do this for another night and then wake up tomorrow and feel like, and then have to, go to whatever on a Saturday. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go to, same thing. I'm going to go to an urgent care. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the urgent cares close at like 5 o'clock, which is super helpful if you actually need somebody outside of normal doctor office hours because, most doctors you get appointment to like 3, 4 o'clock. So the urgent care isn't doing a huge favor by staying open the extra hour. I mean, I guess if something happens to you in the hour, sure, and you don't want to go to the emergency room.
But that's,
Oh, yeah. So I said, all right, well, let me go to I've heard good things about, like the CVS Minute Clinic. I was like, well, let me just pop in there because it's a doctor on staff and hopefully you can get in and out. And if you need a prescription filled, you're already there. You're at a pharmacy. This should be okay. So I said, all right, let me just go and squeeze into hopefully get seen by one of these doctors to see what's happening. Because in my head, I'm thinking it's vertigo. Like my dad's had vertigo and you feel, kind of off. I mean, I didn't feel dizzy. I didn't feel nauseous, but I was feeling lightheaded and was having a headache. So I thought, like, do I have like a mild form or is this like the beginning stages of vertigo? Because vertigo is a viral thing, I believe. I believe they give you an antibiotic for that.
Is it really?
To even you out. I think so. Maybe not. I mean, at least it's an equilibrium thing. You got to do some like exercises and things like this. My father did go to like a little bit of PT. Granted, my father's older than me, much older, but I thought, okay, maybe something's happening and that's why it's not going away. Like this isn't just a typical headache or something like that. So I said, all right, I'm going to see what I can do about this. And I'm able to go and I get to the urgent care and the doctor just say, do you have an appointment? I'm like, what? Because isn't that I know, that's why you brought it up and I'm thinking, I thought the idea is you could just kind of come in. Yeah, like the idea is if something happens, I could kind of show up. And I'm like,
Isn't the business model of this place like, hey, you're sick and I can't get an appointment? I'm supposed to just show up?
You would have thought
Maybe
so.
you can help me?
That's the business model. It's the entire purpose of a fucking urgent care.
You would think.
But they don't take walk-ins.
Well, that's what I was kind of surprised by because I thought, isn't the idea that I could walk in here and like everything will be okay? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So... thankfully the doctor was good enough where she said, no, I have somebody who's about to come in, but like I will see you after that. I was like, okay, great. Thank you so much. Because I told her straight up, I was like, I think I might have vertigo. And I just wanted to do something about it. I didn't want to do this feel like this for another day. And she's like, okay, well, I will just take a seat. I got somebody coming in. And the person was literally in and out. So whatever this appointment was something really brief. So thankfully she saw me very quickly. I'm explaining the headaches to her. It's been a couple of days. She's giving me these physical tests with, laying in certain positions and like turning my head and stuff like that. Not a vertigo situation. And then she's giving me tests for a stroke. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I hope not. But here's the thing. I am on low dose medication for blood pressure and cholesterol. Everything spiked like crazy. I mean, we were all pretty unhealthy during the pandemic. So I was on all kinds of stuff. And because of having lost 35 pounds in the last year and a half and, kind of maintaining a better weight and just overall everything's healthier. There's still a little bit of a concern just because I'm on medication. It's like there's a very low chance because of your age and because, everything's under control with, medication, but without having labs in front of me. There's a very low chance that it's something like a stroke, but I still got to test you. Cleared all of that. That was no problem. She said, well, here's the thing. I don't want to treat this like it's just vertigo. And, kind of give you a prescription, send you on your way if that's not what's happening. So I do think you should go to the emergency room just so they can more thoroughly test you and see what's going on. And I said, okay. Wasn't planning on this because now it's like 6 at night. It was about 5 when I got to the urgent care. So, it's like 6 o'clock and I'm like, okay, let me go. And I haven't been to a hospital in my area. I've lived there for 3 years now. Haven't had to go to one. But the hospital where I was born isn't that far from where I live. So I said, I'll just go there. Circle of life, why not? Because in my head, I'm like, do I have a fucking brain tumor? And am I going to go out where I came in? Like, is that what's going to happen? Yeah. Because I honestly didn't know because I'm thinking, not that my mind goes there. I'm not pessimistic, and I'm certainly not like, oh my God, it's got to be something. I'm not hypochondriac where I'm like, it's got to be something horrible. But I'm just thinking,
worry when you hear something like,
yeah.
Well, I didn't know, but I was relieved. I'm like, okay, well, according to her, I'm not having a stroke, which is great. I mean, I'm disappointed it's not vertigo, which is a weird thing to say, but I'm thinking, hopefully, it's something mild that can be, can be treated with medication, and everything's gonna be fine. So anyway, I go to the emergency room at this hospital, and I said. I check in and I said, hi, I was sitting here. I was just at an urgent care, intermittent hex, blah, blah, blah. And they check me in and everything's cool. And the waiting room is full. And I'm like, oh, shit, how long am I going to be here? Because, like, I have all my limbs. I'm not bleeding. How long is it going to be before I see somebody? Because I'm not expecting I'm going to get in and out. I know it's not a drive-through. Nope. So I'm thinking I'm going to be there for a little while. But I'm like, if I'm here 4 or 5 hours, like, whatever. If it means I go home and I feel better, fine. But that was the waiting area. That wasn't the area with people waiting to be seen, which was great. That's like family members and people who brought them in. So thankfully they get me in, and there's like 3 people. And I'm like, okay, good. Hopefully they'll get to see me. So to just kind of move things along, because it is pretty unremarkable from here on out. They drew blood. They did labs. They hooked me up to a couple of bags of some stuff. I assume it was medicine. Who knows? Yeah. No, but they bags of fluid. They're giving me some acetaminophen and stuff like that just for the pain, and a bag of, whatever that I'm connected to. So I got this IV in me, and they're same thing. They're doing the test for stroke. They're doing the test for vertigo. Negative. Everything's fine. Okay, well, we're going to do labs and see what's going on to see if there's anything abnormal. All right, cool. So they draw blood. And I'm still sitting there hooked up to the bag. I've drained the bag at this point. And I'm sitting and kind of waiting, and I'm on my phone, which, of course, wish I had charged. I hadn't. I mean, it wasn't in bad shape. I was still at like 50%, and at this point, it's like 7-something. And look, through this, I was in good spirits because you have to understand, at least I do, and, you know, when you're in horrible pain or whatever's that's bringing you to the emergency room, obviously it's going to be a different story. But like people who work, you know, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, everybody who's in the emergency room, you're literally seeing people at their worst because you're seeing people in pain. You're seeing people who are frustrated and angry or upset and don't know what's going on. So, you know, you're working with patients, and ironically, they have no patients. So I'm trying to be as kind of, you know, light as possible, you know, trying to make people laugh and, you know, the staff and everything, just trying to be relaxed because I'm like, I don't feel horrible. And like the headache pain, I should say, was only like a 4 or 5. And even at the point where I sat in my car before I went to the urgent care, I just felt off, where I felt like not dizzy, but just I'm like, okay, I'm going to really focus all my energy. Like I drove without music on or anything because I'm just like, I need to harness all my energy just to drive because something feels off. So, and same thing with even going to the emergency room. I was just like, okay, let's do it. So I was tired at this point. And like I said, I hadn't been sleeping well for a couple of days. So it wasn't horrendous, but I was still kind of feeling worn out. And I'm like, okay, well, at least we're doing labs. Fine. So they get the labs back and they bring me back in. And I'm like, okay, well, everything looks good. You know, things are a little high, you know, here and there, but, you know, nothing is abnormal. Like your white blood cell count is slightly elevated, not enough to suggest an infection or anything like that. So we don't think it's that. And, you know, like your cholesterol is up like a little bit. And I'm like, well, I usually take my pill in the evening and I haven't. So that probably is up just, you know, because cycle. You know, I haven't taken it today. I haven't taken it since last night. So that's normal. So nothing that's setting off any alarms. At this point, like I said, they disconnected from the bag because I've drained the bags of everything. All the fluids they gave me are already in me. And they said, well, we'd like to give you a CT scan. So we're going to send you in for that. You know, it's going to be a little bit of a wait, but, you know, we're going to send you off for one of those. I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. Because, again, in my head, I'm like, is there a clot? Is there a tumor? Is there something? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. So I'm like, fine, scan it and see what's going on. Because, like, which was kind of the same at the urgent care where, like, my vitals are fine. My blood pressure, my heart rate, my blood oxygen level, like, everything is where it should be. So on paper, I'm healthy. Right. So now I'm just annoyed and tired and, you know, facing down a dead phone battery because I'm like, this is my only connection. This is the only way to entertain myself because fucking sports on the TV in the waiting room. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, it's like, now that's really going to put me to sleep. So I'm just like, fine, yeah, scan me and see what's going on because if there is something serious, I want to know about it. So around midnight, they bring me in for the CT scan and it's not terrible. You know, you're kind of in and out of this giant circle, you know. And you're in a room full of radiation for a couple of minutes, and then they send you back. That was around midnight. And thankfully, one of the nurses was good enough to bring me a meal, to be generous about it. It's like veggies and it certainly looked like chicken. It tasted like absolutely nothing. But, you know, it was some kind of chicken. Like, even the salt and pepper packets were bland. Like, everybody wants to make jokes about hospital food being terrible. They're all true. Any joke you've heard about hospital food, it's like... And I was just happy to have it because I hadn't eaten anything. And at this point, you know, it's 6 hours since I got to the emergency room. So I'm tired. And I'm like, you know. Yeah. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the CT scan results. So the nurse comes back and brings me in about 2 a.m. and says, well, everything looks good on the CT scan. But neurology wants to take a closer look just to see if there is anything that we should be aware of. But, you know, it doesn't look like anything critical. So they want to do an MRI. So they'd like you to stay here for an MRI. That is up to you. And I was like, I mean, because in my head, I'm like, well, if they want to give it a closer look, these people make their living looking at brains. Right. I mean, I hope it's not something obvious like, Mr. Aballo, your brain is abnormal. Like, joke's on you. Yeah.
Don't I know it?
Yeah. I've known that for 40 years and I have to pay to go to medical school. So...
You don't want to know what goes on inside this thing.
Oh, God, no, you don't. I mean, if you want to, I've got hundreds of hours of audio I could show you. I'd point you toward it.
God, no.
What app do you use to get your podcasts and stream your music? Also YouTube. But anyway.
Well, I have you.
Yeah. Like, I don't think you know how strange my brain is. So if you want to get a closer look, that's at your own peril. But in my head, I'm like, all right, well, if they want to take a look, I'm going to take it seriously and be like, all right, so we'll do the MRI. And they actually brought out a stretcher for me to lay on because at this point, it's getting late. It's 2 a.m. I've been there for 8 hours. I'm tired. I've barely eaten as far as I'm concerned. And it's okay. Fine, I'll wait. And, the phone battery's kind of getting low. And I'm the one person there without an iPhone. So all they have are iPhone chargers. They were good enough to let me use a charger in the breaker. They have it almost looks like a charging station like when you would go to like the store or the mall or something where they have like the charging stations where they had multiple inputs. It was just a USB-C, so it's not a horribly uncommon cord because I have an Android phone. But still, I was able to charge it in there for a bit, and I was able to get, at this point, I'm down to like 15% or something. I was able to get up to 50% for the amount of time I had to sit there. So I'm amusing myself without a phone to occupy myself and, nothing really on TV at that hour anyway that I was going to switch to. And not even a lot of, no colorful characters in the emergency room or anything like that. I was trying to amuse myself, so I'm sitting and just trying to sleep, but that's not working. It's impossible to get comfortable on a stretcher. I'm not sure if you know that. What a revelation, I know.
I've been in hospitals.
Impossible.
Before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, but you haven't broken anything. What gives? No. What are you going to hospital? What are you going to hospital for?
Yeah.
Bird attacks?
Another time.
But it wasn't comfortable enough that I could sleep, but I'm tired. So I kind of wanted to. So at this point, I'm probably just loopy and delirious. So I'm amusing myself by singing along. Like, do you know the Springsteen song, Waiting on a Sunny Day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm singing along to that. Waiting on an MRI. Just can't wait to get home and cry. No.
I amuse yourself somehow.
Well, I was. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I want to get my phone charged and, maybe amuse myself on social media, which nobody's posting on social media at that hour. Nobody I follow anyway. No. So I knew there wasn't a lot going on. I knew mobile games were going to kill my battery, so I'm not going to sit and play Emoji Blitz or something like that because I thought, okay, my battery's going to die, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. But whatever, I'm like, I'm here for a reason, and I'm just going to – I want to find out what it is because at this point, like I said, if they want to take a closer look, I'm taking that seriously and saying fine. And thankfully, there was a vending machine, which I found out about like a while into it because I would have been snacking from the vending machine for hours. So I'm like, I'm going to get myself I got myself a bottle of Pepsi and a bottle of water because at this point I'm just like starving. Yeah. And I got myself Pop-Tarts and and what else? I forgot what else I got out of the snack machine. But like I kept going back because now I'm just amusing myself by eating, but also for sustenance and to keep myself awake because at this point I'm not going to sleep. And at one point I go over to the vending machine and I notice this light out. Well, now it's 6 a.m. and I'm still waiting for this MRI. Which they said there were only 2 machines in the hospital, and the process is like 45 minutes. They were like, it's going to be a little while before you go in for the MRI. I'm like, okay. But now it's been 4 hours. So I go up to the nurse, again, who's been taking care, same one who's been in contact with me this whole time. Or nurse practitioner, I don't know what she was technically considered. Not a doctor, let's put it that way. But anyway, she's taking care of all this and has been the one speaking to me through this whole process. And I said to her, so it's been a couple hours. It's been 4 hours since you said they wanted to give me an MRI. I've been here for 12 hours. Is there any news on that? And then she's like, well, let me see if they put you on the schedule for the MRI. And I'm like, I'm waiting. She's like, okay, they haven't scheduled it yet. So I'm thinking, oh, fuck. Because in my head, I'm like, all right, is it going to be like 10 a.m., 11 a.m.? Because like I'll stick it out for the sake of finding out what's going on. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So she said, but we're going to move you to observation though, so you don't need to stay here. And I'm like, okay, well, there's something. And then a doctor, another doctor comes over and checks in on me, and she's just like, hi, so we see everything. They're going to do this MRI, and it's going to be a little bit later because it's we only have 2, and and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Like if you want to move me, cool. So they move me. Different nurse checks in with me at observation. At this point, it's like 7:45. She was like, well, we're serving breakfast. This is, again, being generous. We're serving breakfast at 8:30. So at least that's coming up soon. And she's like, the doctor's going to see you. He's going to review everything, and he's going to come over and, follow up with everything that's going on. And then we'll let you know how, when you're scheduled for the MRI and, kind of get everything done. It's like, okay, cool. So 8:45, I get breakfast, and I'm inhaling a thing. The breakfast was better than the dinner because it was kind of like a cheese omelet kind of deal. Not too bad. And what was it? Was it pudding? I forget what came with it. And then there's like a cranberry juice and an orange juice and coffee, which I drank because I'm just like, I'm not sleeping anyway.
Yeah,
fuck it.
Give me all of it.
I have nothing to do but run to the bathroom if need be. I have nothing to occupy myself with, so I'll drink the coffee and suffer the consequences because I just want to put something in my system at this point because I'm like, I've been here. I've been up for almost a day. I've been here for 8:45, so I've been there for almost 15 hours since I got to the emergency room. And I'm just waiting. About 10 a.m., the doctor comes over to see me. And he says, okay, well, yeah, everything looks good. Your vitals look good. Neurology wants to take another look. So we're going to get you in, to the MRI. And, you're just going to be here in the meantime. And I said, well, do we know, when exactly the MRI is going to be? Because I was like, I got here at 6 o'clock last night. My phone battery's running low. I'm tired. I'm grateful to have eaten something, but, I haven't slept. So, do we have an idea, when I'm going to get in for the MRI? Because at this point, it's 10 a.m. And I'm like, what number am I? It would be nice to have a deli counter and get a number and tell me, where am I in the queue? Can you just tell me how far along we are? He said, your MRI is probably going to be later tonight, early tomorrow morning. I'm like, what the fuck? What? And I'm like, okay, in the moment, because again, I'm kind of loopy and I'm taking the doctor's word seriously because he's a doctor. There's still the part of me that's not questioning it. And at the same time, I don't know that I have all my faculties about me to question it anyway. I'm just like, oh, okay. And I'm sitting there waiting. And then I'm like, I'm kind of doing, I'm now doing some self-diagnostics. I'm like, okay, I'm not hooked up to anything. There's nothing urgent that they're bringing me in for the MRI as soon as possible.
Right.
I had a
something
scan.
was really wrong, they'd be getting you in for the MRI.
Exactly. And I'm like, but the thing is, the nurse said to me, before, when she checked in with me before breakfast and everything, she was like, well, having an MRI is better because, if you schedule as an outpatient, it's going to be 4 weeks. So, at least if you're here, you're going to get it done. This is before I knew it was going. Yeah. Well, it was before I knew it was going to be later in the day. I'm thinking, well, it's going to be, any minute now, they're going to roll me in and do the MRI. And then, but I'm kind of doing the math and just okay, I've been connected to anything since I was initially here. My vitals are good. My heart rate's good, my blood pressure's good, everything. And they even gave me my the blood pressure pill that I take in the morning. They gave me the equivalent of that to take. So that was fine. And I'm sitting here thinking, I kind of just want to go home and go to bed at this point because I've been here for so long that I just want to go. I kind of want to go home because if it's not urgent, if there's nothing going on, there's no stroke, there's no hemorrhage, there's no sign of it because that's what they got. They were just there's no. There's no hemorrhaging, there's no aneurysm, there's no nothing that's happened, they got from the CT scan that we're worried about, but to take a closer look. And I'm like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. But now I'm I kind of just want to go home and go to bed. If this isn't an emergency, I kind of don't want to spend the fucking day here because at this point it's going to be a day. Now it's 11 a.m. If I'm going to be here for at least another 12 hours, what the fuck? I kind of just want to go home. Which, again, I'm frustrated by the fact Jack was in and out in an hour. I would have taken gout. I know it you had to deal with it for a couple of weeks, but I'm I technically haven't been treated for what I came in for.
Right.
At this point, my body is just inflamed because I haven't slept and I'm tired and, I'm getting a little punchy because I've been there for so long. So, yeah, at this point, I flagged down the nurse and I was just I kind of tell her everything I just said to you about, I've kind of done a self-assessment. And I'd rather schedule the MRI as an outpatient. If this isn't an emergency, I just like to go home at this point because I just want to get some rest. I'll go home, I'll take some Advil and go to bed. I'm sure I'll feel way better. And, I'm sorry. So this is the day before we're going to the boardwalk. Now it's that Saturday. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we hadn't gone yet. And in my head, I was thinking, not that I wanted to pull out of this. I mean, you guys could have gone without me, of course, but I'm I don't want to miss that. We got to deal with this,
And we would have.
Well, yeah, and you should have. Well, listen, I wouldn't want you to hold up plans because of me, and especially if my head was still feeling off, I would have totally told you to just go.
Yeah.
That's fine. Guys, I'm not feeling up to it. But I also wasn't going to be well, I've been in the emergency room all night. And so maybe I'm not in the best shape. Or, even tell you guys hey, don't know what's going on with tomorrow. I'll get back to you later. I wasn't even going to put that out there because I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, so the nurse says no, I understand. Okay, well, just tell the doctor and then he'll come see you and just clear you to leave and blah, blah, blah. I ended up leaving at 1 o'clock. So I was in the emergency room for 19 hours. I never got a room. I didn't actually get admitted. I was there overnight. I'm not looking forward to getting whatever the fuck the bill's going to be. And I was sorry. I didn't actually hit the bell. My gesticulation just knocked against the bell. That wasn't an urgent call for anything. So, yeah, they didn't send me home with a prescription for anything except the MRI. So didn't exactly get an answer for what I was there for. Just had headaches and everything. So what? It wasn't like the end of South Park. I learned something today.
I got no answers.
Kind of, yeah. I'm I've been here. I'm exhausted. I'm hungry. And I did. I stopped on the way home and just got some. I don't even remember where I stopped to get some food. But I was just I got to get something to eat. I got to put something in my system. And go home and sleep. And I did. And I went home and I ate and I didn't set an alarm or anything. And I just woke up at 8 p.m. because I was so fucking beat. I'm surprised I woke up that early, to be honest with you. By the time I got home, it was probably 1:30-ish and then ate and then, went to bed. So the fact I only slept for like 6 hours, I was kind of surprised. So that's the funny part about hitting traffic to get to your place, Ryan, because I went to Jack and I do the piggyback thing where I drive to Jack's and then Jack drives to Ryan and then Ryan drives to the boardwalk. So we all kind of divide up the driving part. But that's why I was even more frustrated hitting this traffic on the way to Jack's place because I went to bed at I was able to fall asleep around like maybe 3:30. So that day I was running on like 4 hours sleep anyway because I was so tired just because I slept late because I was up all night in the emergency room. So anyway, to put a button on that story and emphasize how ultimately stupid I am. So my primary care doctor is on a family leave right now. So I was aware of that because when I hurt my back in March, I had to go see another doctor in the office. And that's when I kind of found out about this. Well, it turns out she was still on leave. That's fine. I hope everything's okay. But I said, well, I'm going to have to follow. I mean, they said follow up with your primary care. I mean, they gave me like a phone book of papers for like everything that they did while I was in the emergency room, which is great because at least I have a reference point for like, well, here's all the tests. Here's blood work. I just had blood work done in April, but I'm like, well, here's everything. Here's a fresh batch of blood work that we did. And I said, well, I'm going to go see my internist about it because I haven't seen him for a little while. I have to do a follow-up. He likes to follow up my labs and everything as well just to see kind of what's going on because he gets into more specialty stuff beyond just, a general practitioner. So I checked and, he had appointments on Monday. Great. I'm going to go in on Monday. And I don't remember if I told you guys this on Sunday that I had an appointment with him at 1 p.m. on Monday. And I was like, well, let me go see him, have him review everything and see what his assessment is. So get in the office to see him, bring the stack of paperwork, got a PDF on my phone of my blood work that I had done in April, give it all to the nurse when I check in. I did laugh when I'm in the office, and I immediately sent in the way that, when a mob actor dies, Mike Zapsik thinks to reach out to me. When I see anything involving Ray Liotta or Chantix, I have to send it to him. Literally inside the bathroom door in the waiting room at the doctor's office was a Chantix poster with Ray Liotta. So I had to take a picture and send it to Mike. It was just like, yeah, he's not a Chantix success story. I'm like, nah, I guess not.
Nope.
I mean, he did quit smoking. He died anyway, but, won't we all?
For what?
I don't know that Chantix is to blame for that. So
might as well have just kept puffing.
Right? Maybe. Or God, 65 or something.
67, I think.
Yeah, like not cool. Not cool. Excuse me while I take a sip of refreshing liquid death because I've been carrying on for so long.
What else is new?
Yeah, but this is an actual story. This isn't just meandering like I normally do. It's like free-floating thoughts. You're not getting that. You're actually getting a story. So I go to the internist and the nurse checks me in like, okay, well, the doctor has all your paperwork. He's going to review it and he'll be in shortly. So he comes in. He's like, so what's going on? And I'm like, well, I was like, assuming you read this novella, that I came in with. I said, I've just had these headaches, these intermittent headaches and everything like that. And he's like, okay. And he's doing these motions. He's like, look up this way, look this way. And then he's feeling my neck. He's like, you got a lot of tension in your neck? I was like, well, that's where my tension lives, just from getting massages and everything like that. Like my stress, it gathers on everybody in some location. So people get in their lower back, some people get in their necks, and it shows up somewhere. Wherever your body has stress, it'll manifest itself somewhere physically. And he was like, all right, yeah, your tension in your neck is really serious. Your mobility is not the way it should be, so you're getting tension headaches. I'm like, what the why didn't I come to you a week ago? Like, I'm just mad at myself at this point. I'm like, I mean, granted, he has a whole stack. He didn't have to do a whole litany of tests to find out because the hospital did do those. So I realized it did play a role. And I'm glad I went because in my head, I'm like, am I having a stroke or do I have a brain tumor or some shit? Because I didn't know because I'm like, it could be something. This could be the start of something.
It's irregular, yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, I'm feeling a little, having had, 2 people close enough, well, 3 people close enough pass away within 2 weeks. My brain was kind of worried about like, is something going on that like I'm not aware of? So there was the part of me that was thinking like, am I at the beginning of something, the beginning stages of something? So I'm glad I went to the hospital. As frustrating as an experience, as long drawn out a night/day as it was, I'm glad I went and had all that stuff tested. But I was relieved that just like, oh, thank God. So he just gave me a muscle relaxer and referred me to a chiropractor, which, unfortunately, my insurance is not accepted by this chiropractor, so I got to find one of those. But I went for a massage. a couple of days ago from when we're doing this, thankfully. And I booked it and then it had to be rebooked because of a scheduling conflict, which those things seem to be happening lately.
Yeah.
And but it worked in my favor because I got a 90-minute massage. And I spoke to my massage therapist and I mentioned about the neck. She literally spent a half hour just going over the neck. And like she's digging in and I'm like, oh my God, it's like concrete back here. Like I could feel her like having to loosen everything. Like so much that like if you get a good massage and firm pressure, which I usually do anyway, I have a pretty good threshold for pain. So I'm not like, something hurts. Oh, my toe hurts. Oh, my God. But sorry, Jack. I had to. I just had to. Because your experience sounds horrible, but mine, living it was pretty horrible, too. It's not a contest with who had the worst.
I don't know.
Who had the worst
making it one.
Yeah. I mean, it is my show, so I'm going to declare myself the winner.
Yeah.
The winner when it comes to pain and frustrating. I mean, you won as much as you got in and out of the emergency room in an hour and got what you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck you for that. But now apparently I got to drive. I got to drive to a better hospital/emergency room when I've something I'm concerned about from now on.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went and got the massage, and like my muscles like hurt from her massaging like the tension out. So I haven't had headaches or anything for over a week. Everything's felt much better. I'm still going to follow up with a chiropractor, but goddamn, what a horrible emergency room trip. Yeah. So I have a couple tips for everybody if you end up going to the emergency room. Number one, charge your phone or bring a charger. This is going to be like Ferris Bueller's list for faking sick to get out of school. You lick your palms. But charge your phone or bring a charger, regardless of what type of phone you have. Even if you have an iPhone, because there were nothing but lightning cables in this emergency room, and no luck for me. Eat a meal if you can before you have an emergency. Make sure you eat well, so you're not there and you're fucking hungry. And unfortunately, because the way fashion is in 2022, you're not going to be able to tell hospital staff from patients because everybody wears Crocs now. So you're just going to have to look for anybody wearing a lanyard or an ID on a clip. That's the only way of distinguishing hospital staff because everybody was wearing I was the only one not wearing Crocs in the emergency room. No exaggeration. Everybody's wearing fucking Crocs.
Didn't even know they were still a thing.
They are so a thing. You know what's crazy? I thought Crocs were like $2 for $1.98. No, they're like $49 for a pair of Crocs now.
Really?
Everybody's wearing.
Made of foam.
I thought you can get those at Walmart for like $4.
You probably can get like generic ones, but like the Crocs brand are $49, and I'm like, aren't these like? Aren't these shoes for people who are too fat to wear regular shoes? Like, but now teenagers are wearing them, and I'm like, it's crazy. I see everybody's wearing Crocs now. It's out of control. I do not understand it.
Disgusting.
I'm not wearing Crocs.
No. Same. Anyway, so there are my tips. Do I have? I wrote down the timeline and everything, so I've been referring to my phone just to see if I had any. Let me see if there's anything else that can be gleaned from this. I did. Okay, I did write this. This is a joke, but it's the absolute truth, so it's not really a joke. I came home and I go in my bathroom because I've been in the emergency room, so I hadn't seen anything. And you don't really look at yourself in the rearview mirror when you get in the car necessarily anyway. And I was overtired, but I literally came home and I go into my bathroom and look in the mirror, and I swear I was just like, I look like Nick Nolte's mugshot. Like I look horrendous. Like I'm unshaven. My hair it frizzed out, like just unruly, and it is in the heat anyway. Like I have so much goddamn product in here, it's unreal. But I looked horrendous, and I was like, oh my God, like I have bags under my eyes that like you're small enough, you can crawl into them and fall asleep if you wanted to. And
sounds good.
It looked awful. I know. We are wrapping up the show, believe it or not. But I literally saw, I was just like, I look like Nick Nolte's mugshot. And I can't put a finer point on it than that. I have the timeline on here. I'm using the staff. And the one thing I did, because I'm sitting there and I had nothing else to do, because this was prior to the archive episode going up that went up, Cape 206 from the archive volume 3. Because I didn't have a whole lot to do, I was reviewing archive material to add to that show while I was waiting because there was nothing going on. Which, having tension headaches, maybe working while you're in the emergency room, not the best idea, but I had nothing else to do. Yep. So I'm watching pre-show video because I'm like, well, what can go in this episode? Because I kind of been prepping it anyway, and it was going out that Monday. So I said, well, let me just review a couple things, see if there's anything else I could throw into this archive episode. So maybe not the best idea to work while in the emergency room, but I didn't have shit else to do.
You can't help yourself.
So there was that. Well, there was nothing to do. What was I doing? I'm like, let me work on the show. Why not? Like, I wasn't feeling particularly stressed. I was only stressed because I was in the emergency room, not because, the show isn't stressful. I mean, but then there's days like today, so where things don't always pan out. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Tiny and Mellow, right?
Tiny and Mellow.
That's right. Tiny and Mellow, everybody. Take it off. So that's it. Well, Ryan got attacked by birds. Jack went to the emergency room. I went to the emergency room. There's a lot. Mm-hmm. We once again spanned or spun the conversational gamut. We've run the conversational gamut. I don't know. You know stuff. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten.
Spanned? I think spanned is good.
Yeah, it's spanned.
Yeah,
we
not
spanned
spun.
the gamut. We talked about a lot of stuff, is what I'm saying. How about that? My eyes are still sparkly.
You
How
understand,
do you like that?
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, if you want more nonsense, you can follow Jack on Twitter at JackWagon85 and on Instagram at JackDeFranco1985. You can follow Ryan on Twitter and Instagram at Taxonian, even though he doesn't post much on Instagram on there, but it's the same handle for both. You can also follow him at Honey, I Drunk the Beers for a lot of toy and beer action. And speaking of toys, you can follow Jack and Ryan's shared account, Hot Toy Time Machine, on Instagram. And links in the description, the episode description. You can get to all that good stuff. And you, of course, can follow me on Twitter, Chris Aballo, and on Instagram at Chris Sells Out. And follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Cape Pod. And, happy birthday to Jack DeFranco. His birthday will pass by the time this went
Thank
out. But
Happy birthday, guy.
send him a message now.
Yes.
You can tweet him or send him an Instagram DM. If you're listening, because I get DMs on the Cape account from fans, so you should DM these guys.
Slide
Send
into
them a
his
message.
DMs.
Yep.
Oh, please do. Yeah, they're married men, but they're not above conversing with fans. We'll say that.
Not at all.
It's true.
It is true. So, yeah. Next Monday, back with yet another episode of Nonsense. And we hope this wasn't too painful. Listening to this was not as painful as the experiences of getting dive bombed by feral birds and going to the emergency room
Watch your
and
meat
dealing
intake.
with. Yeah. Watch your meat, seafood, beer, and wine intake, everybody. That's
That
what
was
we've
hard.
learned this week.
But you don't want this.
No, you don't. You don't want gout. And take yourself for a massage. Self-care, so you don't end up in the emergency room with headaches for 19 fucking hours.
Indeed.
Anyway, that'll do it. So until next time, which will be next Monday, for Jack and Ryan, this is Chris Aballo, and this was yet another experiment.